Hello, my name is Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and we're continuing with Saturnastra, Deasura. This is chapter 16, 1-6. Month 8, day 17, year 5. We finally decided to head out to sea again, and the peaceful provincial life of the village was too much for my crew. At least that is the official excuse, and I have already obtained all of the rare metals that could be found in the market. And I also acquired some decent timber here and there, as well as quarry stone, and frankly I felt like we had overstayed our welcome. And I'm not one to cause unnecessary stress to people who showed me great hospitality. In a sense, I left a gift to the owner of the big tent, a fishing rod with one of our trademark irresistible lures. And the lure had the power to turn into a hook once he had bitten on, and it made fishing pretty easy and cheap since it did not need to rely on baits. And I gave the chief a quick demonstration of the fishing rod before leaving, and based on his stoic and shy demeanor, I could tell that he was really happy for the gift, and people usually have a hard time expressing happiness when they get something they need as a gift. And it is only later that they realize that this is the best gift ever instead of the other commonly gifts like diamonds or pretty pearly baubles. And as we were about to leave, Typhoon said, "You know what, I think I'm going to stay in this village." "Get in the ship, Typhoon, now," I said, pointing at the mast. "I don't wanna," moaned Typhoon. "This is a silver dragon territory. You don't want to get pegged by one of those territorial males," I warned. "I will stay out of their way, I promise," whined Typhoon. "Stop being a brat and get on the ship. This is the land of Albion, and you just can't roam about his territory without his permission. And there are certain precepts you must follow, and if you break them, his emissaries will come for you, and it won't be pretty," I warned. "I prefer to take my chances with them," said Typhoon. "Fine, don't say I didn't warn you," I said, smiling. And we had only sailed out of the fishing hamlet for 3 hours when Typhoon came back flying in a hurry and chuckling rude at us. "So how did it go with the silver dragons?" Typhoon sat on his usual spot in the map and stayed quiet for the rest of the evening. And whenever somebody asked him about what had occurred, he acted like they were not even there. Typhoon has some latent magical power, so I couldn't probe his mind to get the desired information. And this was one of those things that were better left alone. And I think part of the problem was that Typhoon had never been alone. And humans had always taken care of his needs and wants, and I'm only speculating that this was the issue. And for all I know, he got scared at the first sight of a full-grown silver dragon. And they are certainly impressive creatures, and even people who are used to seeing dragons cannot help but gush at their magnificence. It is their large wings, neck, and tail which made them seem far larger than what they actually are. And all of us other dragons, in fact, are larger surface areas and mass, so they're technically bigger, even if it does not seem like it. After much complaints about the ship's order and direction, I have been forced to assign some official ranks. And these ranks are temporary and may subject to change till something better arrives. The ranking of the ship follows: Captain Deasura. And people contested me on this matter a couple of times, however, after having Sanders throw them overboard with my school of broad fish jars, my proposition as captain was soon solidified. And I do not really know why this particular group of sharks keeps following us around, and they must have figured that wherever we go, we always find fish, which is something hard to do in an ocean desert, and I do not know why humans fear sharks more than any other particular fish, and it must be something about their eyes. In any case, it is all quite silly since broad-fin sharks have never ever attacked a human, and in fact humans are even more likely to get attacked by dolphins than bitten by a shark. This makes me smile. The first mate is Lunette, and it may seem self-serving to put Lunette, my handmaiden, as my first mate. However, the twins knew why she was the one, and I never did get rid of her former military skill and expertise in managing war vessels. And while I was around, she was tasked with teaching the children how to fight, and being a bit old-fashioned, Lunette can only manage 3 students, so I take care of the others when I feel like working up a good sweat. And the quartermaster is Jean Piotr Society. Jean was one of the prisoners who escaped jail with me, and as with most noblemen from society, he was an unofficial courtesan, and this meant he was not about manual labor for the benefit of his queen, and the reason why he was jailed for are too long and complicated to get into right now, and frankly I don't care. And what is important that he's dependable and good at bookkeeping, and even before being assigned this role, he always kept tabs on our food supplies. And his time in prison has given him all too real fear of starving to death, which he has come close to during his 7 years of captivity. Sailing Master Sasha and Jura. And the gunner is Typhoon. It may seem as an odd choice to have a master gunner in a ship that has no artillery weapons. And Master Rhoda's Green, he was named left gunner and Gentilius right gunner. And if anything went down, they would provide the necessary long-range fire with Typhoon directing it. And it's not as if we could not install cannons, however the twins felt that it would slow down the ship and cause unnecessary problems. So like instead of having like cannons, they just have like 2 magic users and a guy that aims them. It was much easier and less time consuming to have our 2 mages doing something constructive with their life for a change. And powder monkeys, Farah and Baby, and they were tasked with gathering from storage unit whatever spell components and items the mages may need for battle. And when not on duty, they were expected to keep an eye out for anything that looked remotely magical on the market. And unlike Rudas, they did have the magic eye. And they could tell something was magical by just looking at it. And magical is one of those things like magic sense. You either have it or you don't. And Boatswain, Clarissa, and she managed the children who were tasked with processing whatever fish we caught. And she was also teaching them how to read and fight. And Sergeant Leaf, and in spite of everything, he was still a priest of Erua. And as such had healing capabilities, and accidents were rare, so he spent most of his time idle, raving and dancing like a lunatic. And it was a bit unsettling for those who were not used to seeing a service to the goddess. Cook, Gillian Serna. Gillian was the second prisoner who had escaped with me, and unlike Jim, he was a serial killer, where most he had described in vivid details how he had dismembered each of his victims before sending them to float on the river. And I told him that when he got on the ship that I was onto him, and if he did anything funny, he would be fed to the sharks, and if he wanted to stay in my ship, he had to work without pay till his sentence was completed. And I gave him a standard treatment of my word, and he was to be karmically useful to us for 15 years. And it was either that or facing the medieval justice system. And Gentilius promised to keep an eye on him, and so far Gillian has behaved himself. Month 9, Day 3, Year 5. After running a few simulations and having numerous battles against illusionary ships, we finally felt like trying out a ship takeover. And as with most of my decisions, my human crew fought me on it at every step. Frankly, it's getting old, and they were content with living peacefully off the ocean and occasionally docking to sell goods. And only Ruda seemed glad of it, seeing that it would give him a chance to test out his magic on a flesh and bone target. And based on information provided by our scouts, there was about a dozen human ships in our vicinity, and they were not close enough to be seen over the horizon, but near enough for our scouts to smell them. And we had been sailing southward closer to Bergtame's continent, and the people in the archipelago were more used to sailing, and it was a fishing season, and the fall was the only time of the year in the north where the sea was predictable and manageable, and thus with strong ships and large enough to manage the waves could reap great benefits. And based on their scent memory, the sharks informed us of 4 were fishing and 4 were Navy vessels and 3 were merchant ships. And we took a boat and decided to raid a merchant ship that had the least defense. And Typhoon flew high up to observe the ships, and after giving them a quick look, he settled on the Fluid. Fluid was the name given to any type of merchant ship with little armament designed to hold cargo only. And what it was doing this far out without an escort was a matter of some debate. At the time, it felt like an irresistible lure, so I decided to bite to spring the trap, and I then said to my men, well, let's do this just like we practiced. And when we entered the ship's gun bay, blazing and shooting magic and fireballs into the sky. And after jumping the man piloting the ship, we noticed there was something off. The prisoner looked half-starved and delirious from the fever. And I left him to the chaos leave while I explored the cargo decks alone, and the smell alone told me of what had occurred. And I went outside, and I heard it intrude over the side of the ship. and drew up over the side of the ship. And then I said to Liv, purify yourself and the others. And what about the prisoners? Asked Rudolph. He is already dead, I warned. He doesn't look very dead to me, commented Rudolph. Let's go, I said. And we left the ship alone, and to be safe we had Typhoon shoot fireballs at it after using an ample supply of our precious oil. Needless to say, the rotten ship turned to ash before it entered the waters. And are you ever going to tell us what did you see, or is it another one of your secrets? Asked Rudolph. It is one of those plague ships, and they had the semblance of being a cargo ship, but it only has one sailor, and those who run into one and salvage his cargo get a little something extra as another benefit. And I heard that they were discontinued, but apparently these irresistible lures have been put back into circulation, I said thoughtfully. And what do you suggest we do about them? I said, for nothing, I said flatly. Nothing, just pretend we did not see them and pretend that we're not that they are not hurting innocent people. And I mean, what if it was just a regular mission ship or a foreign ship that falls victim to such a ploy? Asked Typhoon in his usually faint concern, and he only asked such questions to bring attention to how much of a douche she thinks I am. Rolling my eyes, I said, coming to stand before him, we are only one ship, and there's only so much we can do about the lures but avoid them. And more importantly, it was you who led us onto the trap, and you should have known that ships like that one were used by to snare pirates, and spending so much time with the Navy and with the Army, and if anyone knows their tactics, it will be a military dragon like yourself. I had no idea what you're talking about, said Typhoon, plain innocent, and he took it up into the air to fly about a bit in an effort to end the conversation. And he had picked up the habit from me, and whenever a conversation was not going his way, I would jump into the water and leave. And I really do not like to argue, except with Rudolph. And his foul temper reminds me of Jenny Corvus. And Corvus was the first cat I ever saw, and when it was more of a lynx anyway. And she brought for him a traveling suit, and I miss the way he used to hide in supply boxes, or how he would randomly attack you if you turned your back on him, and his fascination with anything remotely holy, and his irrational fear of pickles. I think that's enough for today. I can't read anymore. Well, that's the end of that chapter, mostly because I can't continue reading. Bye-bye and God bless.